Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. Okay, all right. So this is a photo that my brother actually took with me on his last trip out. So I thought I'd share it with you, the Bay Bridge. And his favorite place in the whole world is Alcatraz. But this one is Angel Island. So all right, so what my goal is today is to try to help you understand some of the Chinese medicine concepts to more directly apply to your everyday life, things that you can actually use. We're going to talk about two points that you could do acupressure and do a guided visualization that you can redo over and over if you like it. All right, so let's get started. Also, this information is for educational purposes only. So if you do need medical advice, then please seek a medical professional for anything that you might need. So today we're going to summarize the qualities of water, which is synonymous with the kidney energy and the winter energy. We're going to learn the pathway for those two channels, which is kidney and urinary bladder. And then we're going to walk through a guided meditation. I just want to read to you what Lori Dakar, who wrote Five Spirits, we're going to learn a little bit about what she writes about water this webinar. She describes water in this way. She describes it as including the crashing waves, the bubbling springs, the streaming vapors, the dewdrops, and ice crystals. It is the energy of winter, of the seed, of depth, of darkness, of dormancy and storage, as well as the qualities of receptivity and gentle yet relentless power. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. Before we start, I just want to read briefly one of my favorite meditations so we get in the mood. So just get nice and easy in your body. Take an easy breath. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. So I just want to thank Thich Nhat Hanh for that beautiful poem that he has written. So before we get started, I'm just going to do a brief review. We have discussed yin and yang and its correlation in previous webinars. And they're always in contrast, always in relation to each other, never in absolutes. Fire is more yang and water is more yin. And so we see that the Zhi spirit is correlated to the kidney. So that's what we're going to be talking about quite a bit today. And we're going to talk about that only in contrast to the Shen just a little bit. The Shen is the spirit of the heart and related to fire. So welcome. If you're just joining us, I want to let you know this is recorded. So if you want your video camera off, you can turn it off, and do please mute your sound. But we will be recording this webinar, and welcome to Winter Solstice webinar. All right, so that's just a brief review. We're going to keep talking about that in future talks as well. And so this diagram just shows the time correspondence. So all I want to mention here in review is that if you start feeling tired between the time of 3 and 7 p.m., you might have a little bit of water imbalance. So sometimes people get really tired between 5 and 7, and that would indicate a little bit of kidney deficiency. So that's something to note, because then you can do acupressure on the points that we'll learn today. All right, so let's dive into what water is all about. Lori Dakar, in the Five Spirits book I mentioned, she writes about a myth, and she said, the sage looked down from the mountain out over the valley. In the distance, he saw people rushing along the road and between the fields and the houses. He leaned back against a stone and he watched them. A cloud moved across the horizon. The sun set slowly. The light grew dim. He wondered about the people rushing back and forth in the valley. How silly, he thought, when there was nowhere they need to go. He dipped his brush in the ink, but before he could begin his calligraphy, he fell fast asleep. In the morning, he found these words on the scroll in front of him. Allow your life to unfold naturally. Know that it too is a vessel of perfection. So being like water and being with the flow of the winter season, it has deep meaning, but it also has really deep power. Even our bodies are 60% water. Drop by drop, small water can create canyons. And water has a yin nature and an ability to descend to even the smallest spaces. It's flexible and it can conform to any kind of outside containers. It doesn't matter the container, it's that flexible. So let's think about the energy of water for a moment, and also its really sheer power. Water goes where other things do not go, down into the depths, into the chasms. A small trickle of water has the power to erode canyons as great and fierce as the Grand Canyon. Water is flexible and it can transform to fit its container, and it transforms state with the simple application of temperature. So when the Tao Te Ching advises us to be like water, the implications are profound because it also nourishes all things. So this is my favorite quote from the Tao Te Ching. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a picture. Let me just move our pictures out of the way for a second. You'll see a picture of my favorite translation of the Tao Te Ching. It's very poetic and it's got beautiful, beautiful images. And then in the center of the slide, you'll see Shang Shan Ru Shui, which means be like water. And that is from Lao Tzu. So he says, best to be like water, which benefits the 10,000 things and does not contend in pools where humans disdain to dwell close to the Tao. Live in a good place. Keep your mind deep. Treat others well. Keep things in good order. And do the right thing. Work when it's time. Only do not contend and you will not go wrong. So what does that mean for us? It means that water nourishes all things in the world without striving, without fighting, without pushing back. Nothing can grow without water, and we cannot survive without water. Water looks inconspicuous, but it is the source of all things. It does not compete for fame or credit, and it nourishes without retribution. This is the ultimate kindness. It's a model for noble action, according to Lao Tzu. So think about, it's best to be like water and do not contend. So this is back to the 5 elements graph, and we see the water as the blue circle on the left, and that correlates to the Zhi, or the spirit of the kidneys. And we have talked a little bit about Giovanni Machocha, who was an amazing translator of ancient Chinese texts. He did all kinds of translation for us so that we could have access to these texts for ourselves. And he said that the will is translated to willpower, drive, constancy, and determination. He said that the Shen, which is the spirit of the heart, and the Yi, which is the spirit of the spleen and stomach, the digestive spirit, they're closely related to memory. The Zhi is the spirit of the kidneys. You can translate it as willpower or your determination or your enthusiasm. The Zhi gives you that strength, that initiative, that willpower to do it. So what happens when the Zhi spirit is out of balance? And just another shout out to my brother. This photo that I took on my way out to get him is of the Golden Gate Bridge. So let me just move this so you can see the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a lovely image of mountain and city and fast-paced and peaceful and water. So that's why I shared that with you today. All right. Okay, so what happens when the Zhi is out of balance? We get insomnia or sleep disturbances. You can have low back pain. You can even have thyroid issues, hyper or hypo, it doesn't matter. And you can have lack of drive or motivation. It's difficult to get going in the morning or to finish tasks, have initiative. And there's also can be anxiety, depression. Those are different types than like liver qi stagnation, just depression. But also related, we can treat any kind of depression by helping also the Zhi spirit, and fear, which is really important to look at. Laurie Descartes writes that when the Zhi is disturbed, people continually push themselves either to the point of exhaustion, total exhaustion, or they have no initiative at all. So either way, it is an out of balance. What are some of the causes of the Zhi spirit being out of balance? Well, in Chinese medicine, overwork is always considered a cause of disease. So anytime you're overworking without adequate times of rest and pausing and reflection, then that's considered overwork. You don't want to work yourself to a point of exhaustion. So even if you do excessive physical activity, excessive working out, you want to do things in moderation and have a balance. Any kind of use of substances, too much caffeine, or even in Machocha said he observed people that had too much marijuana actually had reduced element of water, reduced Zhi. Chronic disease can really tank the kidney qi and tank the Zhi. And so we want to always treat the kidney if we have any kind of chronic disease. Any kind of chronic fear, anxiety, and lack of discipline during childhood. So these can cause like an absence of boundaries, and that can create some fear and distress for people. All right, so let's look at actually the beautiful character in the middle, which is actually the Zhi character. And Machocha read that the upper part is called the Shi, and which is a general. So he talked about the Zhi as being the leader of the heart and the structure and the balance for the heart. And so that's an important person. And then the bottom is actually the heart, the actual heart character in Chinese medicine. So Machocha writes that the Zhi influences the heart, and it's a leader. And it gives us that balance to our mental, emotional life. It gives us that structure. So it's very powerful, and it's also intention as well. It's our foundation. He said, I think for our mental, emotional life, the three important spirits are the Shen, which is the heart spirit, the Han, which is the spirit of the liver, the vision, and the Zhi, which is the spirit of the kidneys. So he said, like in depression, almost always tonify the Zhi to give that strength, that fight to get out of the depression. And today we're going to actually learn two of the key points that he had for his simple prescription for tonifying the kidneys and the Zhi spirit. And Laurie Dakar writes from Five Spirits that disharmonies of the will are rampant in our culture. Rather than carefully nourishing that tender shoot of the Zhi as it rises up with the life force, we tend to drive ourselves relentlessly, especially in this culture, rarely if ever stopping to consider the voices of our hearts, the guiding messages of the spirit, or the music of our soul. Darkness, quiet, sleep, and dreams, the passage of time, the void of the unknown. These are the qualities that are not highly valued in our culture, yet they are exactly what the lower spirit needs: clarity of purpose, direction, and a strong sense of identity. All right, so before we practice that observed stillness, let's take a look at the physical attributes of the kidney. So in Chinese medicine, they're notably responsible for reproduction, growth, and development. For if you're trying to get pregnant or actually carry a pregnancy to term, you really want to tonify the kidneys. If you've had childbirth, you definitely want to tonify the kidneys afterwards. But they're also related to fear or weak willpower, lack of motivation, and it's connected with the bones, the teeth, and the ears. So if you have problems with your bone structure or your ears, ringing the ears, then the kidney element is related to that. With respect to breathing, the kidneys are said to grasp the lung qi downward. So some types of lung issues are actually related to weak kidneys, so grasping the lung qi downward. All right, and it houses the Zhi, we talked a little bit about, and we'll keep talking about. So some of the symptoms of kidney imbalance in Chinese medicine are frequent urination, poor short-term memory, or low back pain, ringing the ears. You can get hair loss or graying hair, like early graying hair, and even like bone issues like osteoporosis or osteopenia, that same sort of thing. All right, so there's always an emotional correspondence with the kidney energy, with any of the five elements. But with the kidney, it's related to fear. And I just want to let you know before we talk about fear a little bit, there's an antidote, and love is the antidote. So universal unconditional love is the antidote to fear. So if we talk about this and it brings up a little issues, I just want you to send some love to your kidneys as we talk about it. Fear is the emotion of the kidneys and the bladder, organs associated with the water element. It's a normal adaptive emotion, but it can become chronic when we ignore it. Kidney issues often arise when we're dealing with fear, such as a change in life direction or unstable living conditions. It's a normal emotion, but out of balance, it can really create havoc. So excessive fear weakens the kidneys, but irrational fear can also be a symptom of kidney imbalance. So we want to consider and give space and love if we have a lot of fear, and especially give ourselves time and compassion and kindness for what we are experiencing. All right, so now we're going to get into the channels and the 2 points that we're going to learn. And I'm just going to briefly discuss the channels today. We're not going to go into it as great detail as we did in the last webinars, but I just want to show you that this bottom point in the kidney channel is at the bottom of the foot, right in the ball. It's kidney 1, and it's a great point to ground yourself. And then the kidney goes all the way up over into the internal side of right here, the internal side of the ankle. We're going to learn kidney 3 right here. It goes up the internal part of the leg, up the chest, and then stops at kidney 27 right at the collarbone here. Is a great point for self-esteem. So you can always massage that point as well. But we're going to learn kidney 3 here today. All right. So kidney 3 is pretty easy to find. You actually find the internal part of your ankle bone, the medial malleolus, and right in between that and the Achilles tendon, you'll find a depression right in the center. You can press it, you can do moxa for it. It's a fantastic point. And the reason it's so special and why I chose it for acupressure learning today is that it tonifies all 4 things, all 4 aspects of the kidney. It tonifies the yin, the yang, the essence, which is our whole prenatal, postnatal jing, our essence that we get for our whole lifespan, that's longevity, and our chi. So it tonifies all 4 aspects of the kidney, which makes it a super powerful point to learn for acupressure. So we're going to briefly go over the urinary bladder simply because it's the water channel, and it does help with transformation, excretion of water. There are actually some physical manifestations, like if you get urinary tract infections a lot, that sort of thing. But one of the unique things about the urinary bladder channel is that it can help treat any kind of pain, neck pain, sacral pain, back pain, and also it can help treat any kind of emotional issue. And I'll show you why that is. So the channel here is very complicated. We don't have to really get into it in great depth, but it starts at the inner canthus of the eye. UB1 is right here, and it goes around the head, and then it comes down here on 2 lines along the back, just next to the spine, out lateral from the spine. Then it goes all the way down to the leg and to the pinky toe. And what's really special about the channel is because it goes past each of the organ systems, each of the 5 elements, but also other organs. So like it does the other types of organs as well. But so each of the points along the way can treat each of the organ systems. It's correlated point. On the outside line, it has a correlation between the spirits, all the 5 spirits that we've learned here, and it can treat emotional conditions to each of those points. So because it kind of does absolutely everything, I haven't chosen a point from this channel. I just want to exemplify that it will treat any kind of pain for you and anything along this channel pathway from the eye all the way to the toes. So that's kind of amazing. But for simplicity, to tonify the Jur spirit, we're going to actually learn Ren 6, which is right on the center of the belly. So Ren 6 is just below the belly button. And I had a French teacher, her name was Laurence, she was amazing. She always said that you can find Ren 6 at the top of the hill, and you can find Ren 4 at the bottom of the hill. So if that helps you find this point on your belly, just below your belly button. And this is an amazing point to send your energy and awareness down into your breath, to take some nice breaths. It's a great grounding point. It's a fantastic point to hold your hand over or press with your finger or apply moxa on it with like a moxa box. Is the easiest way to do that. So this is one of Machocha's point prescriptions for tonifying the kidney and tonifying the Jur spirit. All right, so before we dive into the really great meditation we have for today, I just want to briefly mention that today's meditation is really designed as a culmination of all of the webinars that we've done this year. So each webinar, we've done something very specific. So in the summer one, we harmonized the heart spirit and the kidney spirit, doing inner alchemy and balancing that heart and water element, the fire and the water. And in the fall, we explored grief and the lungs, and we expelled grief to give, and anything that doesn't serve us, to give ourselves space to now go within, to now store and do a deep dive into clarity within our own spirit. So this is a culmination of everything that we've been doing for this last year. And before we go into it, I want to just show you a couple diagrams from Lori DeCar's 5 Spirits book, which is really fun. And this is the image of the mountain. So she talks a lot about the Kunlun mountain. And so I just want you to get nice and comfortable in your chair. Hopefully you're sitting in this one. And the others, it didn't matter. You could lay down or whatever. But if you need to lay down, that's okay. Just visualize yourself sitting as if your legs are crossed, so as if you are a triangle, a pyramid, or a mountain. And take a nice breath into your lower belly and just feel that strength of your base, of your foundation in your lower belly. And imagine the point in the top of your head connecting to the heavens. Lori Dakar writes that to the ancient Taoists, the Kunlun mountain was still the point or the center pole of the spinning world, as the Tao was still the point of the spinning cosmos. In the inner world, the mountain was regarded as the center pole of the self. It was related to the brain and the nervous system, and it was recognized as a miniature expression of the Tao within. This inner mountain was a metaphoric expression of the vertical axis you see in this picture of the spinal column, the conduit through which the human nervous and spiritual energies flowed between heaven and earth. This mountain was the terrain of inner alchemy and psycho-spiritual transformation. Align the spine meant aligning the mountain. Aligning the mountain meant aligning earth with heaven and human life with the Tao. So we'll just see some of the characteristics associated with the spirits. And so the Shen has insight and inspiration, whereas the Zhi has manifestation and is corresponded to the collective unconscious. And then this is another representation of the aspects of the different spirits, where the Hun is correlated to the liver, the wood spirit that we learned about in the spring. And then the Po, which we learned about last time, related to like the physical manifestations, the breath. And then down to the Zhi, which is related to the kidneys. And it's got that mountain superimposed across all the spirits. So now let's dive into our meditation today. Take an easy breath and let your abdomen rise and fall. Just notice your breath. Shake your body out a little bit. Be very comfortable in your body, as comfortable as you can be. And Lori Dakar writes, in many Taoist alchemical practices, one's inner being is visualized as a lush mountain landscape populated by deities. The image of Kunlun Mountain is often used to channel energy through the spinal column down into the lower body, where it is made potent by the fires of the pelvis, and then back upward to the heart, where it is transformed into the light of wisdom and compassion. For this meditation, you may sit in a chair or cushion on the floor. What matters is simply that the back is straight, forming that vertical axis between the top of the head and the bottom of the tailbone. Begin this meditation by visualizing your body as the mythical Kunlun Mountain, your peak reaching up to heaven and your base planted deep in the earth. Feel the mountain's beauty and power. Feel the mist swirling around you and the clear streams of water and light rushing through you. Now, bring your awareness to the top of the head, the highest point of the mountain peak. Visualize a single star shining just a few inches above your head. Feel the light of this star pouring down on you into a radiant shower of liquid gold. This is the light of the Shen spirit, the yang light of heaven and conscious awareness. Feel the golden light of the Shen drift down through your body, coming to rest in the space at the center of your heart. As you breathe into your heart space, visualize the Shen spirit taking on form and color, drifting and changing like the mists and clouds on the mountainsides. As the yang light of awareness grows moister and more yin, we enter the realm of the Hun, the spirit of vision and imagination. Follow the light as it drifts downward, coming to rest in the solar plexus. As you breathe into the solar plexus, feel the light gathering potency and weight as it descends towards earth. Feel the light take root in your belly like a seed taking root in the fertile valley of the mountain's edge. This is the realm of the Yi, the spirit of embodied action and imagination and tension. As your awareness drops deeper, it slips below the horizon line down into the dark caves below the mountain, into the labyrinth of the viscera of the pelvic basin. Bring your awareness to a point about 3 inches below the umbilicus. That's that point Ren 6 that we just learned today. And take a moment to feel the powerful energies that reside there. This is the realm of the Po, the yin spirit of the animal body, the breath, and the autonomic nervous system. Now, go deeper as your awareness follows the labyrinths of the viscera deep below the mountain, down to the darkest cave, to a point at the base of the spine. Feel the energies that pulsate here, ebbing and flowing, kind of like water, as the tides of the cerebral spinal fluids expand and contract. Feel the darkness envelop you as the yang light of consciousness is swallowed into the dark ocean of the yin fluids of life. This is the realm of the Zhi, the spirit of the collective unconscious, the spirit of archetypes, cell memories, genetic codes, primal symbols, and the luminous threads of fate that are the yin reflection of the Tao. In the darkest cave below the mountain, at the base of the spine, we come to the center of the alchemical mystery, the dark womb of the mysterious feminine. Now breathe and wait and do nothing. Surrender to her power. As you breathe into the deepest, most hidden point of the body, you will gradually feel a tingling beginning at the base of the spinal column. It is okay if you do not feel it, simply imagine it being. This tingling is the fire of the yin, the light that rises from down below, the fiery spring of the life force, the river of liquid light that gushes up from the heart of darkness. Breathe this underworld fire upward, up through the pelvis and the solar plexus. When it reaches the heart, feel the luminous yin fire of that Zhi spirit mingle with the radiant yang light of the Shen. As you breathe into the heart, feel the light pour in from above and below. As upper and lower lights mingle, you will feel subtle streams of pleasure radiate from your heart and fill your entire body. Compassion and love pour through you as you continue to breathe the 2 lights into your heart. You are now experiencing the sacred union, the alchemical marriage of yang and yin. Let this dance of this union continue as you open your eyes and let the light of the 5 spirits shine from your heart outward to the world. All right, as I welcome you back to this present moment, we will just briefly look at the physical manifestations of tonifying your kidneys. I want to highlight goji berries, which are actually quite a total miracle. And this is always fun. I love herbal supplementation because it's a great way that we can tonify our chi as we go through our life. Lycium, which is also goji berries, is best known in the West as a powerful blood tonic, rich in nutrients and antioxidants that help treat and prevent a wide range of things. And from cancer to anxiety, it helps immune function. It counteracts the effects of stress and aging. It helps heal oxidative distress from UV light and free radicals. And it has super high levels of antioxidants, vitamin C, xanthins, carotenoids. All of these are responsible for fighting cancer and slowing tumor growth, reducing inflammation, and helping to remove harmful substances from our body. All right, and in Chinese medicine terms, it helps with digestion, anxiety, depression, and those ways it helps with tonifying the blood, helping with sleep. It helps prevent liver damage and it can inhibit liver tumor growth. They've shown that in some studies. And it nourishes the yin in the blood of the kidneys and the liver both and benefits the essence. So that's very helpful. So in that way, it helps treat the lower back, sleeplessness, dizziness, and also helps really greatly with the eyes. All right, so I'm giving you this recipe here briefly. You can always take it down from nuts.com so you don't have to frantically take notes. Or if you do watch this video later, you can pause on the slides to take down the notes. But this is a recipe that actually makes goji berries into a fun little dessert. So what you want is you want to have pitted dates. And in Chinese medicine, we use this red date called Hongzao or Dazao, and it's red, and it's not as sweet as the brown dates, but it's very tonifying in blood, so it's lovely. It's great to make like slightly sweeter without a sugar aspect, a natural kind of sugar. And but if you don't have the red dates, that's okay to use the brown dates. And you want to use almond butter, quinoa puffs, goji berries, raw pistachios, coconut oil, and then a little bit of dark chocolate. All right, so here's the amounts of the recipe. And again, you can find this recipe on nuts.com, or you can watch the video later and pause. And a little bit of coconut oil. And what you want to do is you want to combine the things that you're going to put in the food processor. So the dates and the almond butter, and you're going to pulse that, you're going to chop up the pistachios. So you want to use like either a blender or a little food processor to kind of get those a little bit smaller. Use about a 9-inch pan if you have it. And then you can add a little water if it's too dry. And then you transfer it into the baking pan, push it down. And the recipe does say use a microwave, but I definitely would recommend heating on the stove, the little bit of chocolate and a little bit of coconut oil to kind of soften the chocolate, and then place that over the bars and put it in the fridge. I do recommend you store these in the refrigerator because they will spoil. They have lots of bioactive ingredients, especially the goji berries. So you definitely want to store those in the refrigerator. All right, the next one is Uva ursa, and this is an awesome one for your urinary bladder, but it also helps with all kinds of different kinds of inflammation and heat, any kind of painful bowels. If you go to another country and you have loose stools, you might want to have some Uva ursa to help yourself with that. And so Uva ursa is kind of amazing for UTIs, kidney infections. It's just a really great herb for helping your urinary bladder, and also it does help your kidneys as well. So it's always nice to do food therapy for the season. And in this season, we want to eat black and dark colored foods, black beans, kidney beans, walnuts. Black sesame is awesome. They use that a lot in Chinese medicine desserts. Black mushrooms, blackberries. Oh, but make sure, the mushrooms are not poisonous. But mushrooms also dry dampness. So it's a lovely thing to have in the wintertime. Black teas are great during the season. You do want to avoid cheese, heavy meats, salt, like refined sugars, or even cold foods. And green tea is considered cold. So it's nice to have that in the summer, a little bit less green tea in the winter time. All right, so just a little brief, if you want to dive more into the 5 spirits, you can look at Lori Dakar's book or Lonnie Jarrett's Nourishing Destinies book. Those are wonderful to dive into all the spirits that we've learned this year. And then the power of 5 elements. So if you want to heal one particular aspect of yourself, Dr. Moss has awesome advice and techniques for that as well. And then one of my new favorites lately is Cindy Dale's book on energy healing and chronic illness. So if you really want to heal some old traumas or help, she has a bunch of techniques that she outlines in her book. There's techniques and explanations, and helpful to figure out which chakra is involved. And if we're talking about the kidney energy, we're talking about the root chakra. So if you have kidney deficiency or old traumas, it's really helpful to start looking at healing your root chakra. And she helps us do that. All right, so what's successful in this season? Just show you another photo I took, all the photos on this. This is from one of Adam's of my anniversary trip in the summertime, and I thought it was a great representation of water and mountains. Not such a high mountain, but a little mountain. But water trickles and flows for us. So we definitely want to store our resources and not overwork in this season. You can visualize the direction you want to go and then go to bed earlier, wake later, just take it easy. And that's a little bit contrary to the natural cultural expectations of this time. All right, so we have talked about the spiritual aspects of the JER, the emotional aspects, and the physical aspects. We have had some key points, the Ren 6 and the Kidney 3, that we can do acupuncture, acupressure, and moxibustion on to help ourselves. And we can do goji berries or Uva ursa to support the water organ. We can focus on the root chakra and tonifying that. And then we can just really take it easy on ourselves. And those are things that are going to help us with the water element. All right, so next year, stay tuned. Next year, I intend to do little self shorts like Moxa, how to Moxa, stomach 36, how to Moxa, Ren 6 that we learned today, and those details will be posted on the website next year. If you don't already have this link for Welevate from my website, you can get 10% off of any pharmaceutical grade herbs on Welevate from my website there. And then you can also contact me if you want a telephone appointment, or if you wish to have an in-person appointment, you can always schedule that with me on Herbal Consult. But I just want to thank you for all of your time and participation today. I really appreciate you. I want to thank you for this entire year, this whole series on the 5 elements and the spirits. And I want to thank you for being with us today. All right, take care, everybody. Happy solstice.